Welcome to The Culture. We rest at the pulse of the community, providing all things news, media, fashion, events, and everything that we talk about in between. Documenting our Black powerful history and amplifying our Black voices, one interview at a time. We are The Culture.
Hi, Cultural family, and welcome to another edition of The Culture. I'm your host, Jessica Modkins, and joining us today is Nikisha Williams with the Miami Foundation. Welcome, Nikisha.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, this is long overdue. You all at the Miami Foundation have been really the instrument that has been propelling all of South Florida to ensure that the things that matter the most are happening. So I want to publicly thank the Miami Foundation for all that you have done, all that you are doing, and we're going to get a little more deeper into what it is that you're doing now. Nikisha, let's start out though and get a little insight into who you are. You are from Miami, Florida.
Mm-hmm. Third generations, yep.
Yes. And then you went off to college and ended up coming back. First of all, how did you end up coming back to Miami?
That's such a great question. So like so many of us who leave home, my thought was like, I'm leaving home. I'm going to have this amazing career in New York. Who knows where I will end up? It took me to Dallas, and from Dallas, a job is what brought me home. I landed an amazing role at a Cable and Wireless, which is a telecommunications company that operated in the Caribbean and Latin America. And I was like, isn't this amazing? I get to come home and be with my family. I didn't know how long I would do it, but once I got home, man, the city was just changing in a beautiful way, and my family was here, and I decided to stay, and that was 10 years ago.
And then you went into communications and
Great question. Yeah. So I actually started my career in communication. So I know we're going to talk about Press Forward. It is personal for me because I actually studied journalism in college, and that's what I thought I would do. And it was happening. I graduated around the time that the industry started shifting, and I saw it. And so I said, I don't know that this is the right career move for me. And so I decided in college to go into public relations, communications, public affairs. And I would say the bulk of my career really was in that until I came home to Miami. And after working in communications, someone that I knew in the community said, well, now that you're home, it's time to really come home. And what that meant was going to work at a nonprofit in a community in which my dad was born and raised, a community that was near and dear to my heart. And so that is how I always say I fell into the nonprofit world.
Yes, and fell and made a lasting impact, and you are continuing to do it. Let's start at where you all were a few years ago with the grant from Wells Fargo to create Open Miami. Is it Open Miami?
So Open for Business.
Open for Business, yeah.
Yeah, so a few years ago, I think it's been about 3 years now, we were lucky enough to be the recipients of a $20 million Open for Business grant from Wells Fargo. And the intention of that money was to make sure that we were filling holes and helping to support businesses in historically disadvantaged communities, those who it's harder sometimes for them to do the work that other communities might do. And so, we grounded our work in a lot of data to understand what was our market seeing, what are the communities that were having a harder time getting loans, for example, buying assets. And we intentionally built a program that would really help lift those communities. And so we had 3 different products, one of which we're proud of all of them, but we had a commercial real estate offering where we were giving up to $500,000 to businesses, collaboratives, to come together and buy commercial real estate, which, as you know, is so important. It is hard to get a commercial loan. Prices are so expensive. So even beyond just the process of getting a loan, the cost of it is expensive. And so we were able to help so many businesses actually close on their own commercial space. And, if you're a homeowner, this, you control your costs, what the mortgage cost is versus when you are renting. And as the market goes up, which we have seen happen in Miami-Dade County just drastically, just in the last 5 or 6 years alone, now folks were owning their own space. And so they didn't have to worry about that drastic increase as they are trying to really just do good in our community. And we were able to help organizations buy assets like cars and different things that really just impacted their business. And so our long-term hope is that now these organizations and these businesses, they have assets that we appreciate.
Wonderful, wonderful. And as we would all think, that program is over with. Miami Foundation is getting ready to kind of relax a little bit. Nope, not going to happen. So now you have Press Forward with it, which is it's an international. Is it international?
Well, actually, I think there are some international chapters, but it really is nationally focused.
Okay, and you have been able to not take off your communications hat with this initiative that you all are spearheading across the nation, and specifically here in Miami, where the local chapter has finally launched. Can you please tell us a little bit about Press Forward as well as the South Florida chapter?
Yeah, I'm so excited about this work. So, anyone who pays attention to just local news and information, we have all seen the fact that our newspapers are just a little bit skinnier. Some of our favorite newspapers don't exist anymore. Once upon a time where you might be able to find information about the community in which you live, right? So there's the larger Miami-Dade County, but many of us live in these smaller communities. And it's hard to find information about what's going on at local government. And so as a result, it is hard to stay informed. And so we want to help do something about that. We believe in the importance of local news and information. We believe in the importance and the role that it plays in people's lives, and not only keeping them informed, but grounding them in community, but also giving them the information that they need to change their lives. And this is coming at a critical time. We see what's happening in affordable housing. We see what's happening on the education front. We see what's happening related to climate change and transportation. These are all really big, critical issues that are happening in and around us and being decided by government and lots of other institutions, but there are not enough reporters to cover the issue. And this is not an area where we are blaming reporters at all. We know what has happened is that once upon a time, there was ad revenue that supported our news and information ecosystem. And as a result of just the internet and lots of other changes, the ad revenue is just not the same. And so it's hard to sustain these news outlets that once existed. But the role that they play in our lives is so important that we want to make sure that we can do something about it. And particularly in a community like South Florida. I say Miami-Dade because that is home to me. But Press Forward is a regional effort where we are looking at Broward, Miami-Dade, and Monroe County, because we believe that news doesn't stop at the county line. We believe that it is something that happens on a broader scale. And so here locally, our goal is to support and lift up our local news and our local news and information ecosystem. And so we want to do that by raising $12 million over the next 5 years that will allow us to support the ecosystem in the ways that it needs it. And so we won't say that we have all the answers, but what we will say is that we want to go out and seek information that will help us make informed decisions. And so that starts with us simply doing a survey to understand what are people in our community, where are they going for their news? What type of news are they interested in? What news do they think they are missing? And then us being able to really rally philanthropic support here in our community to then help address that issue and really help lift up the industry, hopefully.
And with this initiative, you all did partner with other community-based philanthropic organizations to bring it here to South Florida. Do you have the liberty to name those organizations?
Yeah, I'm absolutely happy to. And I'm going to pull out my paper just to make sure I don't miss anyone. But it's the Community Foundation of Broward, it's the Coral Gables Community Foundation, Key Biscayne Community Foundation, and then the Miami Foundation. We have all locked hands with each other to really make a difference in this area.
As it relates to your survey, when will or if will it be released to the public?
Yeah, so our goal is to release the survey in July so that folks will be able to see exactly what it is that we found in the survey. And then they will be able to see exactly how we came to the decision once we develop our strategy. So we say that our strategy will be informed by the survey results, and that strategy will then drive our investments. And so our goal is to release all of that in July.
And this is South Florida's is launched, but there are other chapters across the nation. How have those other chapters been able to support hyperlocal and local news?
So I would say on so many fronts, we're all still figuring it out. So Press Forward as an entity, and so Press Forward is a national effort that is looking to not only rally national support, but support these local chapters as we rally philanthropic dollars on the ground. But it just started a year ago, so it is still so new, and I would say so many of the communities are still in the early phases of hiring people and still in the early phases of conducting ecosystem landscape scans like we are. Some of our partners are looking at policy level changes, for example, as they think about the change that they're able to have in their community. They're looking at policy level changes. Some of them are figuring out how they can help support new outlets come into the community where they feel like there are large gaps. And some of the other ones are saying, you know what, we've got a really healthy ecosystem. They just need some support in order to be able to sustain. And so their efforts are going into really supporting those that exist already. So I would say everyone is taking a very different approach based on their own local market.
Do you think that it's too late for anyone who's watching this who had a desire to begin any sort of informational source of media? They have been longing to do it, never had the resources, and said, oh, now this organization is coming about. Maybe this is a way that I can get funding for my outlet. Is it too late?
So I would say to anyone who has an interest in making sure that their community is informed, I would say do it. We need their voices now more than ever. You know, one of the things that leaves me excited is the fact that not only is this work happening here locally, but there is a national movement to help solve this problem. So it is not just the $12 million that we are going to raise here locally. We know that there's additional funds that's happening on a national level. And so I think there is a great opportunity. Like, now is the time. So if someone is interested, and particularly if you see a gap in the marketplace, I say go after it, because we need your voice.
I am excited about Press Forward because, just being transparent, Cultural Family, of course we were there. We were there at the launch. So we did get all of the information. And what I did share with our small group at the launch was that I was happy to be surrounded with other publishers, with other journalists, legacy outlets, because in that environment, I am able to propel the culture just off of someone other than our organization, what they have been able to do to become successful and to stay successful. The best practices, that part of the business is almost the secret sauce that continues to propel businesses forward. And I was able to make these relationships there at the Miami Foundation. So I want to thank you for that. I'm looking forward to another opportunity to get with those publishers and have those transparent conversations, because many times I feel as if we may be in a bubble and we really aren't.
And that's what we want to hear. So I'm so glad to hear that was the opportunity for you, and that was just the first.
Yes. And so what's next? This summer, you're looking to reveal those surveys, and then what is the process after that?
Yeah, so this summer we will reveal our survey results as well as unveil what our local strategy will be. But then, in addition to that, we are really excited to host a handful of capacity building workshops for folks working in the local news and information ecosystem. So, again, I say there are dollars that the Press Forward South Florida will be able to inject into the ecosystem, but there are so many more dollars outside of ours. And so we want to make sure that our ecosystem as a whole is prepared for the national opportunity that exists. And so we have heard from a local media professional saying, this is what I want. And so our goal is to be able to deliver that starting this summer. But then we're really excited because once our strategy is baked, we hope to really initiate our first grant making opportunity sometime in the fall based on the survey responses that will inform the strategy. So we're really excited about that.
And I want to be clear, there were two surveys. One survey was for the community, and then there was another survey that were for media outlets. Can you just talk a little bit about the two surveys and then how they work together?
Thank you for that. So the first survey for media professionals, this is us wanting to understand what is it that you're seeing in the ecosystem? What capacity building opportunities would you like if you have the opportunity to do it? It is just us hearing directly from media professionals. Again, as we design solutions, we don't want to do this in a vacuum. We want to be able to be responsive to what we are hearing from folks who are working in this industry day in and day out. But the second survey is a larger survey where we want to hear from as many people as possible, as far south as Monroe and as far north as Broward County. We want you to tell us, what media are you watching or listening to or reading? And by the way, we define media very broadly. This could be what you're getting on your phone. This could be what you are looking at from a social media perspective. We want to know, where are you getting your news? But we also want to understand, what gaps do you see, right? Like, what is it that you wish existed? Because that is how we then help decide what we lift up, what are the voices that are going unheard, what voices are not being covered, so that we can make sure that as we are thinking about what this full ecosystem looks like, we can make sure that we are as much as possible addressing those who are not being covered.
Nikisha, always a great time speaking with you. You have so much information, so much assistance that you provide to South Florida. I want to thank you for that. And before we close, I wanted to know, is there anything else that you would like our audience to know before we wrap?
Yes. So for anyone who is sitting there listening and you're like, I want to take this survey, please go to miamifoundation.org/survey, and you will be able to tell us what media you're consuming and what you want to see from us. So thank you.
Well, thank you again, Nikisha. Please feel free to come back if you have any more information. And also, there's a full article on theculture.xyz if someone wants to get a little more information, and we'll be sure to post the link. Thanks. Thank you, Nikisha. Thank you, the Culture family, for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Bye.
The Culture is produced and owned by Hip Rockstar Media and is distributed by the Culture Media Group. It cannot be reproduced or broadcast without written consent.